Welcome to ETHDam, to ETHDam, to ETHDam, to ETHDam, to ETHDam.
Okay, welcome back to the post-lunch session. Next up we have QJ with ECF Pensive. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Wait, let me also time myself with this. Okay. And accidentally put exit there. Anyone heard of the word Pensive? No? No Harry Potter fan? All right. Anyway, we named this mechanism Pensive because I love it. And everyone else, thank you so much, James, also loved it. And today we're talking about it in a little bit of details, but I also found out that we actually only have 15 minutes. So I'm going to run through it a little bit faster, but we do need to first get into the context, which is about info defense in the whole DAC movement in our Ethereum community. And it is about protecting societies, organization, and individuals against the threats related to manipulation, theft, and disruption of information. And the threats that we do know that exist are disinformation, social media manipulations, psyops, synthetic media and deepfakes, cyber attacks, intelligence gathering, insider threats, data breach and leak, all those. And just so that we are on the same page. And surprise, we're taking it on centralization again, appropriately in this particular ETHDam event. Obviously, our fingers go to what's wrong. It's wrong because it is too centralized. And actually, if we do look deeper into the flaws of our primitives of information and data handling, this is the source of a lot of problems. Because when control of data, communication, and thus empower decision-making is actually concentrated in a few entities, you have a lot of issues such as the already very celebrated songs our decentralization communities like to sing, single points of failure, reduced resilience, because you just don't know whether there is manipulation. It's a black box to everyone who cannot access it. It's asymmetrical in terms of power, because some actors see just much more than you do, and then they can influence much more than you do as well. And obviously there is the very discussed issue with surveillance and privacy. Of course, we also have more infrastructure challenges, such as broken links, how the web now is organized based more on locations than the content verifications or the ownership of the content. And then if we look deeper, the flaws in the socio-technical systems are these that we identified. Number one, we have a lot of data, but they do not necessarily have a contextualization to be meaningful data. And collectively, it's even worse, right? And then there is also no native guarantee of ownership or provenance. So we do not know where data come from and who controls it natively. And our usual Web3 songs, the central trust assumptions and ownership. So many systems assume a trusted third party by default. We discussed this yesterday, actually. It's one too many. And then the thing is, we do deal with data and knowledge a lot in our society in order to coordinate. There is the privacy dilemma. You have to come out to disclose more in order to win trust. It's not today's topic. It was yesterday's Web3 privacy event. But in today's context, it is about that we are missing one thing in the DIKW hierarchy, where fact, which can be considered as verified information, is lacking. And it's not just verified information. It's actually, we are lacking verifiable information to begin with on the internet. And why do we care about this? Oh, sorry, one more step. And now we're playing with the fire. We're looking for truth, which is a forever human task collectively. And this is what Dumbledore said. The truth, it is a beautiful and terrible thing and should therefore be treated with caution, not on the screen. What is missing in the picture is the data work is actually a lot of coordination, collaboration, interpretation. And these are separate cross-cutting concerns that can influence every level in real world. In our particular context, as ECF was founded in 2018 in Tokyo with all the early Ethereum community pioneers, we had the idea of coming together to coordinate resources in order to get more adoption for Ethereum decentralized applications. And it was an easy start. When a lot of the projects at the time were well-funded, we could pool together and then just give grants so that people can have less hesitation to jumpstart. And then we realized that on the way, of course, after I took the job, that there are many challenges even today, especially today's grant programs now everywhere and with various purposes are facing. Where is the money? Where are the projects? Are they good? When they say they're good, is the information real? Can we trust the information? Can we trust that they will deliver? And ultimately, grant programs struggle with accountability. It is very difficult to track performance, and it's very costly to do that. But that's why grants cannot be very high, and that's why it takes a long process for you to get one. And usually, it's about kind of checking faces, right? Like you need to know someone in order for information to be somewhat more trustworthy to the grant programs. But underneath, you also have grant programs having their own internal issues, such as how to govern the money. You can say it's multi-sig, but who are the stakeholders, right? Now we need to ask those questions. And this is what I had asked ourselves. And how to stand out as a grant org. We were the first, so it was easy. But in order to coordinate the communities and guide resources beyond the grant pool of the vault that we have, we need to really stand out as a good guide, as someone who can interpret what is good for our collective initiatives, for our missions. And then we also have the information verification issue that is above mentioned as well. And then to coordinate all the funds in the space, it was also conflicts of interest and a lot of other issues that are commonly seen in any human coordination. As far as ourselves as an organization, it goes that we need to be more transparent, and that's challenging. We are collecting applications, and then we're asking questions to these applicants, and all of the programs that are today are also doing it. And most important of all, and most difficult of all, how do we hold ourselves accountable? How do people check whether we have done a good job? How do we get that so that more funders would come to us? And it all seemed actually quite backward because we already have the technology to have direct funding since the invention of Bitcoin. Why do we have to put money together? So once I got the election and became the executive director, the first reform that I promoted, which is the work that followed after the first year, and now already more than 5-6 years, lost count, is to make it an open program that anyone, anybody, any grant program could access the same database and then fund directly based on what they need. But we do need to coordinate information because our job to guide and coordinate community is still there. We just don't need to reinvent Bitcoin. We just don't need to pull all the funding together and have the risk of hacking and then stakeholders to be much more worried about how you're spending money. And then we could hold ourselves accountable more on the level of information and being good at interpretation of what is good than arguing how much should we charge as management fees. And we are not necessarily better than any other fund programs in that as well. We should just allow everyone to participate openly, just like what blockchain has enabled us. So the job kind of changed a little bit from deciding who should get grants to how do we help communities give resources and support much more efficiently. And this is our answer. In order to collectively discover legitimate blockchain and Web3 projects and contribute, sometimes people donate what is actually even more precious than money, their time. We need to make sure the projects we recommend are with verifiable information and have updated information constantly, and that they do fit certain standards that we could say that they are legitimately Web3 projects or Ethereum projects, to be specific. And this is our answer. In order to answer the question, what are good projects and where to find them, we have spent years to have R&D this particular mechanism paper called ECF Pensieve. And this is not just for a directory or index for crypto projects. It is usable for, let's say, decentralized Wikipedia or dictionary or any knowledge base, even a community to come together to agree on their mission. Have you checked whether all your members in the community does agree with what is put as a collective mission there? And what are facts and and history books? And so you can look at it as a indexing of project pages, but no one owns it. So we consider this Pensive paper as a layer 1 of consensus mechanism, and ECF, the original organization, will turn into a platform that has some interpretation over the data. But if you don't agree with what we think are good projects, you are very free to take the same data and have different prioritizations, such as if you believe projects that are taking the issues of climate changes should be more important, projects that are already open source should be more important. At the minimum, we have a collective open access to a database that everyone can access and everyone can contribute to. So the problem is was solved backward when we were trying to say technology can already solve the problem, let's just all use it. When we try to discover what is really good and what is actually true for us to base our evaluation or interpretation on. Now we are tackling from the core of the issue. Starting from there, let's check out how we could, without a central party, own data together when it concerns our collective social consensus. So this is a sneak peek. After years, we're finally launching very soon. And Luis, this is the updated light model of it that I put in the slides. So it is a little bit neater than actually the previous version, in my opinion, and more scalable when we ask more items to be added to the projects with enhanced ZK technology, where people do not necessarily have to be cautious of whether or not they can share because of security reasons. So right now with the POC launch, we would have all of these relatively important but less sensitive or security concerning items required of the projects, and there is no penalization if you don't want to provide. It's all optional for anybody who wants to show more accountability to gain support. This would be a little bit of highlight to that it is an identity irrelevant mechanism, that you don't have to really, actually let me go through the next pages in order to get to the few highlights. One is that one important aspect to look at it is that it's identity agnostic. The entire system doesn't care whether you are one person, 100 people, an AI agent or not. I know that's a dangerous place to go to, but you have to take a look at the paper to see whether it really works. And we wish for the next stage, we would have more users to come together to test with us, because eventually and ultimately, blockchain is a social technology. It only can be proven good or bad or effective or not when people engage with it. But we do have ways to direct our users to see whether information provided or voted by the users are legit or not in their own opinion, such as looking at data of whether these accounts are actually recently created, or are they only interacting with certain project pages, stuff like that, instead of asking people to give us data that we don't want. And then we tried to simplify the entire user experience in the mechanism as well, where you could propose any item of a project page, then get verification from the community when other people vote for you, oversimplification as a side note. And then the project page is published. And then you gain reputation in the further knowledge contribution. What we believe is that legitimacy is not transferable. If you contribute to the knowledge base, then your weight or reputation should stay in that knowledge base, versus you probably, get access to invest earlier, stuff like that. When you have expertise, we have looked at a lot of ways to leverage reputation system. I think what is difficult is to try to transfer it to somewhere else, and we want to keep it very strictly inside. Is James trying to tell me that I need to go? Or yes, okay, very gentlemanly standing there. And what is challenging in the mechanism that is very interesting is that it's an ongoing governance, meaning whoever gather enough reputational contribution points would be able to change the data anytime they want. And all the versions that have ever happened in the competition will always be there dynamically competing with each other. And it is interesting to look, with this it's interesting to look at a snapshot of when the size of the audience is with certain number, things start to change and the evolution of perception in the immutable ledger. And just two more highlights that we also include a lot, the collective wisdom in terms of the sentiment, because we do not claim to know everything about accountability of a project, so we have to have ways to reflect that. And it is an info finance mechanism, bounty mechanism to be more simple. When you contribute to the content that is asked of for different prices, you are actually rewarded for that contribution. And these are dependent on whether this item of information is important because it's a sensitive information, it is hard to acquire, and it's never on the internet, things like that. And it is also a gauge of importance when more people start to contribute to this particular item, putting their weights there. It increases the threshold of the next change, which makes controversial and sensitive information much more gated, and also much more debated before it gets to the public. And a few other highlights that I would just leave on the video. We're launching soon. So if you are interested in mechanism design, UX design, and you are a curator of projects you love, and if you're a community builder, you should come work with us. And next page will be a scannable QR code. But you could also just sign up for testing the MVP, because I'm pretty sure everyone is building cool stuff that needs to be seen. If you could be able to prove your legitimacy without disclosing too much of your privacy by an organization that has been long-standing by projects that are accountable and legitimate, it is an ideal thing that you don't have to spend the marketing budget on pumping your token. So thank you so much. And we also do a few other things on our organization. And this is the scannable QR code where you get to, I guess, just join a Discord that is recently rekindled for new discussion, because we're launching soon and coming out of stealth. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
17 minutes, not too bad.